All right, not a lot of free time lately, but I wanted to take a moment and do a quick rundown of the machine. That I've had some questions and concerns, as well as just information that wasn't known or understood. So just a quick rundown of what all is on the machine itself. Starting with the power button, most of us are already very familiar with that. There we go, power's up. And the lid part's pretty well understood. After that, though, a couple things that people seem to overlook or aren't fully utilizing. The first one being the vinyl roll holder, which you flip up here. You've got these little end pieces. They've got little nubs here on the end that will go inside your vinyl tube. So this one, just like the rollers, which we can talk about in a second, the left one is stationary. The right one is the one that can be moved. It's the same down here. This one is stationary. This one can be moved. So if you have a narrower roll, I believe the minimum is 9 inches. It says, it's hard to see here. If we can focus. There it says 9 inches there. So that might actually be a 6-inch roll. If you went all the way down, well, I guess 9 is just past where it sits. So I've only done 12-inch rolls, so I'm not entirely sure on that. But there is a 12-inch mark here, a 9-inch mark here, and then it bottoms out. So if it's in this position, and it's right at the line, yeah, so I guess it'd be about an 8-inch roll, because the 9-inch mark is behind where the roll would sit. But usually I'll go the 12-inch roll. So I open it all the way up. It's be awkward one-handed. I'm just going to kind of get it close. You would push the left side, that little peg, into your tube, and you'll see there's these little bearings on the bottom that it rests in. So you push this side on, get this side in. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm not loading anything up. And then I would push this guy into that 12-inch mark, and it kind of locks into place. There's just a tiny bit of gap so it doesn't bind the vinyl up to this little tab. And then from there you can pass, whoops, I've pushed it in awkwardly, there we go. You would push your vinyl through this opening, and then up onto the machine where it could be loaded. You need to unlock this, put it at the 12-inch no mat width, get it like so, and load it. We can actually go ahead and do that. Let me set this down for just a second, because we'll do something more in just a moment. So I get this lined up, which we've covered in a few of the other videos on this part. We'll get it loaded like so. Another thing that's commonly overlooked is this side piece here. It's actually a door, which has a little bit of storage. It's not a lot. I keep my 3 pen adapters in here that go, so I can use my Sharpies and whatnot to draw. And then I usually also keep the little tool that comes with the Cameo for, I'm assuming, older machines as well, but I can't say yes or no on that as I've only owned the 4 myself. So I usually keep this tool flat on the bottom, and then my pen adapters kind of on top of that. So we'll talk about the tool here because this gets asked quite a bit. This is used for loosening your auto blade. I'll keep the one in the blade holder and use this extra one. But there are notches on the bottom. If I can focus on it here, there we go. You'll see these little notches on the left and the right side. People ask all the time about them being jammed up. And you'll see the tool has little notches on the left and right sides as well that will line up with your blade. That way you can unscrew it. And I usually just get it so it's loose enough that I can then go finger tighten. So if you have any vinyl or cardstock or anything that's been wedged in here, I haven't used this blade yet, it's brand new. But if you have anything wedged up in here, you can get some miscuts and things. So making sure you periodically take it off and clean out any debris. Again, be careful that it is a sharp razor blade. So I usually use like a pair of tweezers and I'll just pick off whatever vinyl is stuck to the blade. And then again, I'll just kind of hand tighten her on. Be careful here as well, because if you push down, that's when the machine taps. It'll pop the blade up. You can kind of see it right there. So if you're pushing at all when you're screwing this on, the blade will pop out. So don't cut yourself. If you're gentle, it doesn't seem to pop out, but just a warning. And then just a little bit of a tighten. Don't over tighten. My experience has been that the little notch on the side, the little dimple there, as well as this little tab that sticks up, usually are pretty close to lining up. If you're wrenching it a lot further than that, you might crack the plastic here. So be careful. Just snug, not overly tight. Once it kind of starts to get stiff, I usually stop. So you can use that tool for locking up your blade. You've also got this little piece here on the machine, which, like I said, when you tap, or when the machine taps to do a cut, it's pushing down and the number on the blade is going up. You can see right now it's at a depth of 5 because I was tapping and playing with it. And you'll see, if it'll focus, there we go, the blade is sticking up 0.5 millimeter, which isn't a lot, but definitely enough to cut you, and more than enough for this vinyl. So you can reset it. The machine is designed to reset it by itself. That it'll do like a hard press, and then it'll tap out. If you want, vinyl depth 3, it'll tap 3 times and move that line to the 3. But if it's jammed or something, you can put it in this little hole and push all the way down. It'll make like a springy click sound, and you'll see now that it's no longer at 5. Our line is way down at the 0 mark. It's actually really hard to see, but that will reset your blade. So if you've cleaned it out, it's jammed up or whatever, you can do a test here. Press this, see if it resets to 0. If it doesn't, you either have a jam or possibly a bad blade. So this little guy is helpful for that. It's also helpful if you have the ability to 3D print. Oh, sorry, I almost dropped the camera. I 3D printed this little clip. You can buy them for a few dollars, I think, on places like Etsy. It's just a real small little 3D printer-based clip. If you have someone that has a 3D printer, I'd recommend talking to them because this cost me about 3 cents to make. It's just time on the machine. But it has, see if it'll do it on black, it's kind of hard to see. But it has this little round base on the end, which is designed to fit into the little round piece you see here. So this piece here will go in. It's a little stiff. I made it a nice snug fit. And that works as a guide to line your vinyl up. So that gets it nice and tight up against the edge, as well as the little mark you can see right here on the edge of my vinyl. I've mentioned in a couple of the videos, but it'll go right inside here. So even if you don't have this little 3D printed guide, there is the little gray line that you're lining it up on, as well as this little lip. Same with the mat. If you do the mat width, it'll go right up to this edge here. You get like there's just enough to like catch your nail. I'm trying to, yeah. So just enough of a tab that you can slide the mat into place, and then it'll go in. So you've still got the confirmation on this side if you don't have the guide. It's just one extra security to make sure everything is lined up the way that you want. So you've got the tray here. I'm going to close that back up, put the tools in later. And then the last thing that seems to get overlooked quite a bit is on the back side of the machine. You have a cutter that you've got a lock on this side, and you've got a lock on this side. And when you push both of those down, where am I? There I am. Those will click into place, and now this blade is free to slice a nice straight cut on your vinyl. So I'm going to pop this back up for a second. I'm going to run. I've already cut this vinyl, or cut a design on the vinyl. Make sure I'm loaded straight. I'm just a hair off. Let me get it nice and straight. And then from here, you can feed your vinyl through, which I'm going to do so. And it's backwards. I don't know if it's my machine or in general, but what looks like it would be forward actually goes backwards. So I'm going to push this one, and that will push the vinyl out the back. And then you want to find your design. I have this light here. It kind of casts across so I can see. Hard to see in the video, but there are cut lines you can kind of make out on here. There's a good angle of it. So I'm just trying to find the edge of my design. And there's no harm in going, sorry, it's super obnoxiously noisy. And going too far, you can always press what looks like, again, the wrong direction. But that will bring it back in. So I can go too far, make sure I've got all of my design on here. I forgot I printed a small one this time. It actually stops way up here. So I can bring that back. There we go. So the edge of my design now, I don't know if I'll be able to see it in the video. Kind of. There we go. Is right where my fingernail is, right here. So as long as it's outside of the machine, you can then pop your lock, and push those down. Once that's down, that's pinching the vinyl a little bit so it doesn't move around on you. And now this is free. There's no tension on it. And you can just push it through your vinyl. and it cuts the nice straight edge on your project. I do have a cheap little Amazon cutter. Works the same way, you just slide your little blade. But it is handy to have it in the machine. Once it's all done, you can press your eject button. It'll kick out your vinyl. It'll spin way too much because you've, in this case, cut off about 5 inches. So it'll spin to kick all that back out, but it'll release your vinyl the way that you want, and you're good to go. And my OCD will bug me, so I always put the blade back on the same side, but it doesn't matter. And then put my locks back up. That's definitely the very important part. You want those locks up. That way there is room. Where's my finger? There I am. So there's enough room in here for your vinyl to come back out. Because if these locks are down, you'll see it plugs. There's now a wall, so your vinyl can't come through. So make sure to tip these tabs back up. So that way it's locked up and you have that gap. Otherwise your vinyl will get backed up and cause you problems. So just a few things there that some people seem to not know the machine has. You've got the storage on the left. You've got the roll. Most people seem to know about the roller, but I've seen some questions about how to load it. What this hole does and ways to use it. Basic controls here, for me at least, being reversed. And then the same thing when it's loaded, you can go left and right, and that'll move this cutting head left and right, which I only do if I'm doing test cuts, because otherwise the test cut is always in that top left corner. So if you do a test cut, now there's a hole in your vinyl, you can push right, bring your head over, test cut, and it'll cut exactly where the head is. And so if you need to do 3 or 4 test cuts, you can keep moving the cutter over, hit your test cut. If it's not good enough, move the head over again until you're satisfied with that test cut. I've never needed to do more than, I think, 3. So just a couple things. Oh, I got the tool as well, which I'll put back. But a couple things on the machine that seem to get overlooked or not fully understood. So I thought I'd take just a minute and at least make some kind of content that can help some new Cameo users out where I can. So any questions, concerns, thoughts, or opinions, let me know. And hopefully the next video will be a little more involved and do a new cutting project. I've just been real tied up with my own stuff going on. So I apologize for the lack of content lately, but hopefully more to come sooner than later.